prepping Curse of Strahd, Baby Lasagna, aka Baba Lasagna. An unfortunate name for a pretty cool bad guy, all things considered. Why is there's just a big frog in the background? It's a little weird. Gonna refresh my map, but then it's a little weird. So, I got plans for Baba Lasagna fight. The party has brought a ton of powerful allies with them. She kind of is one of the tougher fights in the game, in so much as she is a spellcaster in a game without a lot of spellcasting. But more so than that, she kind of represents the beginning of the end for this group. When they defeat her, they will get the third MacGuffin, right? And then that third MacGuffin will kind of finish everything else up for the game. So, it'll sort of not finish it up, but it'll put them on the path to completion. Yeah, I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay. So I have her clown car here, and we have her Vanderhob, which is, you know, it ain't great. At low levels, it's cool. At this level, it could be a good distraction. I think. So, leading up to the fight, they're going to be wandering through the swamps of Berez to catch up with Taylor, and the rest of the party is big and loud. Oh, excuse me. So they're going to end up in a fight. I believe it's on Swamp Map 2 against a bunch of. Oh man, I ate my dinner so fast. Dragon's Dogma, Saurian lizard folk, and their giant poisonous snake friends. So, right away, looking at this map, a couple of things come to mind. One is this terrain is pretty gnarly, right? Like there should be some kind of impact on movement and the game. I would agree. I would agree. So the question here is there such a thing other than just saying that, oh, there is difficult terrain, right? So one of the things that I've been trying to work on and not making a lot of headway is environmental effects. So with environmental effects, I went and harvested a lot of content from 4E. So these are all examples of things that would happen in 4E terrain. So these are the official environments from 4E that kind of come into play here. And I think there's even some that I grabbed from the DM's guide. So like types of terrain, difficult terrain, blocking terrain, challenging terrain, hindering terrain, obscuring terrain, and cover terrain. So all that's there, but it's kind of hard to like designate that stuff. Well, now there is a mod that allows us to do that, and I don't have that mod anymore. But it allows you to sort of section off areas and say, oh yeah, this is this and this is that, that sort of thing. So looking at this Benios map, because we have to have it at a certain resolution, it can be a little hard to make out the details of like what is solid terrain, what is difficult terrain, and then what would be like water, what would be, like it's one of those things that in a video game I think is very easy, but in a top-down game it can be a little difficult to convey those points. So what I want to do is on this map, as sort of a practice for all of this, sort of show where everything is. So if we go to the walls, we can see that he didn't put any down on this map. It's just kind of like out in the open. Or if he did, I got rid of him. So if I go here to terrain, we could designate like, oh yeah, this is like the trunk of that tree, right? And we could say like, oh yeah, it's growing up out of the ground. So what's this weird stick right here, right? Well, that's like just a tree branch from like another scene, question mark? Or is it something laying across the map? I don't know. It's not like super clear. Another thing we could do, looking around to see if there's any other trees that we could mark. I think there's one over here. Oops. There we go. Oh, that's terrible. Why is it doing that? All right. Let's grab this and paste it over here. All right. So that's like another like tree trunk over there. But again, I just see like I'm like squinting real hard trying to see like what would be solid ground and what would be difficult terrain. Like this is the old road that has washed away, right? So would everything here be difficult terrain? How do we designate that for the players without using that that terrain marker mod? So you could go in with like your markers and do it that way. So we could take the draw tool and essentially this is the old road and then everything is just kind of like junk on either side. But we could go and say that, and it helps really if you had like solid, you know, if you were committed to like certain squares being like more or less difficult terrain than others, kind of honoring the grid-based nature of the world. But yeah, you could go along like this and start like marking it up of where you think those areas would be. So am I saying that this area up here is okay and then this area here is not okay? So I feel like if you really were serious about marking up your terrain, you would get that mod, you know? I think that mod is pretty important for this process of kind of showing like, you know, what is difficult terrain and what's not difficult terrain. Because otherwise, it feels like the players are just going to have to keep like asking you, like, hey, is this difficult terrain? Is this difficult terrain? Like over and over and over again. Especially if like this particular map, it's really not obvious what's difficult terrain or not. But I feel like we could do something like this. There we go. And then same deal over here. We could carry things out to about there. And then again, if we try to like respect the general sense of like what we think the map is trying to say of what is solid ground and what is not solid ground. Do something like this and down. All right, and then here in the middle, where you got a couple of rocks here, we could say that those are solid ground, right there, and then maybe down here, like these guys are solid ground. Then everything else that's in the center here, we could say is essentially not solid terrain. But what does it mean to not be solid terrain? That's another big question, right? Like, what does that mean? Are there areas? Is this going to be quicksand? Is this just a marsh? Like what are we doing here? And that's really something that I'm just not ready to figure out yet, I guess. It's but I want to, you know? Like I want to get there where like environment plays a big role in the game. I think that would be really cool. I'm just not sure the best way to do it. Like, if I had labels, like colored labels and stuff, that might work. And again, I think that mod is really the secret. Let's see. Probably not the best topic to try to cover, like, 15 minutes before a major boss fight in the campaign. But it is something that these maps in particular make me want to have a bit more of that in the game. So, let's see. I think it's called Enhanced Terrain Layer. And it says I have it installed. I probably just don't have it turned on. Draw a polygon onto the map. It represents the terrain at that location. Okay, well, shit. Let's try to turn it on real quick. Let's see. Terrain, enhanced terrain layer. Got to do a reload. Hopefully it works with the new version of D&D. It says here the latest version came out in Foundry 10.9. So it's pretty old by Foundry standards. But it did get updated. Oof, its last update was May 27th, 2023. So it's probably a bit out of date. It's probably a bit out of date. Alright, so Curse of Strahd, Berez, Swamps, Swamp area. Okay, so this is the terrain layer right here. And it has its own shit for drawing. So, and I don't know why there's just a random snake in the top left corner. That's really weird. I don't like it. Alright, so if we got these out of the way, and I went over to terrain layer, it has how much it costs to go through it, which I like. And then we got the polygon tool here, and we start drawing it. So, maybe we start drawing. I don't know. Or it's just broken. Yeah, I guess it doesn't work. That's unfortunate. Dang. You really gonna do me like that? Terrain layer? How disappointing. Oh man. Well, now I feel bad for deleting all my lines, so I'll put those back. How does one sell like that certain things are a type of terrain versus another type of terrain? I really want to, again, this is something for another stream. This is something for another stream, obviously. For now, let's just look at this map and see if we can think of anything that would be cool for it. Alright. So, exterior environments. Thorns. I like the idea of thorns. Difficult terrain costs 1 extra square of movement to enter a square of difficult terrain. Blocking terrain prevents movement, blocks line of sight, provides cover. Challenging terrain. So thorns, it just says, can be found anywhere. Thanks. So why don't we do for thorns, treat as a natural spiked growth. 5 feet of movement is 2d4 damage. That's what spike growth does, right? I've been blessedly unaffected by spike growth for a while now. Difficult terrain. All right. So, difficult terrain. 5 feet of movement. Alright. We don't need to camouflage it, though. So treat as a naturally occurring spike growth effect. So we'll put 5 or more points of fire damage can destroy 1 5-foot. Destroy 1 5-foot cube of thorns. Alright. Obviously, AoE fire is very good for this. Burns quickly, does not sustain the burning. Fun. Okay. Is there a way to avoid it other than magic would be a good question. This could be definitely where acrobatics would come into play, or something similar. But essentially you just want to kind of jump over it, right? Creatures may attempt, as an action, to move through the growth. A DC 15 acrobatics will 15 dex acrobatics allows a creature to move through these spaces unimpeded. Through spaces without suffering any damage. Okay. I like that. Or a bonus action. Failure. Okay. This check can only be attempted once per round. Nice. Okay. I dig it. That's cool. I don't know where on this map there would be such a feature. Like, we could definitely throw that down somewhere if we wanted to, as sort of a drag people over and actually use that part of the map. That'd be kind of cool. So for something like that, if we went to the bazaar. Sorry, I just got so hyper focused on like figuring this out. JB2A, JK, LMNOP. There we go. Alright. Library. Second level? Is Spike Growth a first level spell? That'd be crazy if it was. No. Maybe it's... Oh, they don't have one for Spike Growth? Alright. First level, and it's probably Entangle. Entangle will probably do it. Yeah. So if we had an area like this out on the map. Oh, this one's not. Oh, thank you. This one is not even animated. How dare it? Alright, here we go. Yeah, so we could say, like, hey, this area right here Like, this is thorned growth or whatever. You don't wanna mess with that. So yeah, I think like this could definitely work. Alright. And then maybe over here we do a patch of thorns like in that corner. Like, they're not really interfering with anything by being there. So we could put some more down in a place where they would cause interference. Like maybe like right here. These 6 spaces. Yeah. I like that. Okay, let's see. Also, quicksand is definitely a thing that we want. So let's go to Beyond and do quicksand. I love quicksand in D&D. I feel like it's one of the only things that is actually kind of hard to deal with. There we go. So scroll up. Nope, no, not you. You. Christ. Alright. So quicksand would be like there. And let's see. Frigid water. Desecrated ground. Undead staying at desecrated ground have advantage to saving throws, blah blah blah. Razor vine. Hey, that's kind of like what we were doing. Razor vine is a plant that grows in wild tangles and hedges. It also clings to the side of buildings and other surfaces, as ivy does. A 10-foot high, 10-foot wide, 5-foot wall or hedge of razor vine has AC 11, 25 hit points, is immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and psychic damage. When a creature comes into to direct contact with razor vine, that creature must succeed on a dex save or take 5 slashing damage from the razor vine's blade-like thorns. Okay. So what I'm thinking we could do, alright, so we'll call these vicious thorns, and then we'll put razor vine. Alright, if we go back over to, with 4 minutes left, Baba Lysaga's hut. Okay. I think that there should be razor vine growing on the tree. I think that would be pretty hype. We left off with it like right here or whatever. So I think razor vine growing on the house would be cool. I can't tell if I have the animated hut or not. Let's see. I can't believe I forgot all about that. Alright, let's drag that out. there's the hut's little miniature as it waddles around. There we go. The hut has its own stats too, which I totally forgot about. So the hut's gonna have razor vine. It's gonna be doing that. She's going to summon these poppets that she made essentially of the characters. They're going to serve as like effigies, like voodoo dolls kind of, that the party's going to take damage if they hurt them. She's also got something else prisoner here. The water around the place is really dangerous and deep. So yeah, this would have been a good map. This would have been a good map to really dig in and like look at the terrain and how that could have impacted the adventure. So yeah, learn from my mistakes, and I guess we'll do that for the other 2 groups when they get here, if they get here. But for now, I gotta go run the game. I think we're doing a vodcast tomorrow night. I'm not 100% sure. If so, I'll see you then. Otherwise, I'll see you Saturday morning when we work on some Outlaws of Alpenstar. We gotta unload a new character after last week's character death, and get ready for some exploration of the Spellscar Desert. Hope everyone has a great night, and I'll see you next time.